Hello, and welcome back to Method News, where we talk about science-based manifestation methods and concepts. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're into this topic. Let's get started. So, today we're talking about reciprocity in giving and receiving and keeping a balanced, energetic return on giving and receiving, and how overgiving and overcommitting drain your energy and stall manifestations. So let's start with the first thing, self-worth signals. What you are programmed to believe about what you deserve reflects in what you think your time and energy are worth. It reflects in what you think your gifts are worth and what your value is within the greater social system, right? And we're naturally comparative creatures. We can try not to stereotype. We can try to notice when we are biased, but we will naturally compare ourselves with others like all the time because we're trying to find context about ourselves and we're trying to solidify our predictive programming. Now, the problem is that when you get feedback loops, like unfinished feedback loops, let's say that somebody bought you lunch, right? Unconsciously, you may be already calculating, okay, so what do I have to do for them in order to complete this predictive feedback loop of keeping a balance in our relationship, whatever that relationship might be, right? Your mind always has this checks and balances kind of mentality. Okay, if I receive this, what do I have to do for it? At least this is the general program in most systems. If you were raised with a different program, you might have a different kind of feedback loop that could say something like, okay, I can't receive unless I give and give and give and give, right? You might have this unconscious program of that. And it also is about nervous system safety because you're trying to protect your emotional and mental stability. And you're trying to differentiate your priorities because your brain is very energy efficient. It needs to filter for specifics, right? So your if-then protocols, your associations, your mental presets, they need to know what to do when you give or receive. And so this is where your observer mode comes in so that you can focus in on your programming, on your unconscious programming, and say, okay, if I receive something, this is what I like to do. This is what I find is the easiest way for me to manage the receiving part is if I receive something good, positive, with good intentions from someone else, from another person's human system. Remember, we are all biological survival systems, right? If they decide that they want to give me something for whatever reasons of their own, it doesn't matter what the reason is, right? And I feel comfortable receiving it. I see it like an invitation. I don't necessarily have to accept what they're giving, right? I don't 100% have to. If I feel like they might have some strings on it, some type of unspoken contract, I will even clarify. You giving me this doesn't make me owe you it, right? But most of the time, if I feel like that's there, I just won't receive it. I'll just decline the invitation. No big. And I'll make it clear that I'm not doing it to be rude, that I don't want this thing. I don't need this thing. Keep it for yourself, right? But if I do choose to receive it for whatever reasons of my own, right, that my system feels comfortable receiving it, feels good in my story, and that's all good, I will chalk this up as basically a karmic payment. This is something they have paid into their karma through me. They have delivered this abundance, not specifically from them, but more from like the universe, God, source, the greater system has sent this through, basically, the greater awareness, but it's using them to send through me to send back to them. Make sense? This is the karmic cycle. This is how it all goes around. So I don't immediately need to reciprocate, and I don't have it running in my background using energy, right? I don't think, okay, I've got to go do this for them right then. Or if I do think that and it comes up, I'll just be like, nope, that's on the karmic ledger. So it's already taken care of. That's their karmic return is already done. Right. So that reward is, it doesn't take any extra work from me and it doesn't cost me anything. And I can continue to accumulate the abundance, right? Now, if the situation arises and I'm in a social interaction with them and something similar occurs where I want to give from them, I don't consider it to be, how much, if they gave me like a car, right? I'm going to consider that one thing was a car and it has a similar value to me about something. And I may at some point reciprocate to them that same value. Maybe. But it's like it's situational, you know. What if I never see that person again? Am I gonna go hunt them down? That's a lot of energy spent. How about if I just send them a karmic return and I know they're gonna get it? Right? So of course they're gonna get it. To me, it seems obvious. I don't have to go chase them down and spend all my energy that I'm using to manifest my story to interrupt their story, which sometimes that happens. Like I've had times when I've just given to people even like a lot of money, and I'm just like, I don't know, I just feel like giving it to you, you know? So maybe them giving that to me is that coming back to me, right? And it's not always in money. It's not always in, it's in the value to the person's story in the moment, to that character story in the moment, right? It's a fluid thing. And I just had something really funny happen with reciprocity yesterday because somebody gave me $100, and like this happens all the time. Like really, it happens more often than you think. Like I just have this setting that people like giving me $100 for whatever reason, right? So somebody gave me $100, and I spent $20 on entertainment, right? And when I got a phone call later, there was a $20 that was stuck in one of my accounts that I tried to send to somebody, and it got stuck and I never could send it. And then they called me and told me, hey, I finally received it. So this is the kind of karmic checks and balances that I'm always watching out for. But the funny thing is that, you know, it depends on how you're looking at the receiving too, because our brains feel loss more than it feels gain, because that's a survival feature, right? So if I receive $100 and I lose $20, I will feel the loss of the $20 more automatically, survival basis, right? I'll feel the loss of the $20 more because my brain is thinking in checks and balances. Yeah, I received, but this was automatically mine as soon as it hits my hand, right? This is mine now in the brain's mind. And now it doesn't matter if it happened 5 seconds later. If I lose $20 at that, my brain thinks, oh, we lost $20. But what you need to think of is that it is the cost of enjoying and cost of opportunities and the cost of, you know, future receiving in different ways, right? So for me, that wasn't really an expense. It was an investment in the moment, in developing my character, in developing my story. So whenever you notice that sort of dopamine dip, because we have an automatic dopamine dip that if we imagine getting something and we don't get that or better, that our brain will drop the dopamine level as a measure of lack of success, right? It's a survival feature. But you can counter that by having a protocol that if I drop, you know, if it seems to drop and I can feel that disconnect in my nervous system, that scarcity feeling, right? That if I feel that, then I can say, no, this was just the cost of the entertainment, or this was the cost of the opportunity for future gains. It was not a loss. It was an intentional, premeditated cost. Now, what's very important is that you stop at whatever amount. Let's say you're investing in something in stocks, right? And you say, I'm going to invest $100 in stock, in this particular stock. And it comes back and you see the stock starts dropping. Well, it's almost like a slot machine. You'll feel the urge to keep putting into it because you'll feel what you've already put into it, right? But that's not a loss. That is just the cost of opportunity. Okay. That's the cost of future gain. So you don't want to keep putting in. You want to stop where you are and wait to see what it does. Just hold on to it, you know, or if it becomes, you know, as you start feeling it all the time, just withdraw it and put it in another stock, no matter where you're at right now. But don't count it as a loss, you know, in your mind, emotionally. Don't count it as a loss. In your ledgers, you might need to. I'm not your accountant. Okay. I'm not, you know, any kind of accounting expert, but in your emotional state, do not count it as a loss. Count it as the opportunity cost. Okay. So that helps sort of alleviate that sense of scarcity when you get a mismatch of what your brain predicts you're going to have Remember, this is all an emergent state, your thoughts and feelings and everything. So you're not going to be able to shut this down like completely. Your body is going to react to the feelings of loss, but you can immediately implement, no, this wasn't a loss. And just gently, you don't have to scream at it, no, it wasn't a loss. No, just gently, no, this wasn't, and guide it back to abundance. So I hope this helped you to understand a little bit more about reciprocity and about, receiving. And the same thing goes with giving. You don't want to overgive to everyone around you. You definitely don't want to be, overgiving for approval. In some cases, giving makes sense in a social setting. Like, if you're at a charity ball or something like that, you're going to a charity dinner, or you work within certain contexts of the social fields, or, if you're just, you really enjoy giving and that makes you feel energized, but it becomes a bad thing when you're doing it to reinforce your identity and to validate your sense of self-worth. You don't want to give in order to get self-worth. Self-worth is intrinsic. It belongs to you automatically. You do not have to do anything for it. You just have to access it. You just have to touch base with yourself, get in touch with yourself, communicate with yourself, give and receive within yourself, right? So when you're spending all this other time trying to make other people happy, they are going to start seeing you like a resource. And you're not a vending machine. You're a person, a complex biological survival system with a big identity predictive processing that tells you what to do. You are not their vending machine. And you're not helping them if they're just using you to get what they want. Right? And you're not helping yourself either. So be selective with your energy. Be selective in how you receive. Be selective in how you give. And that will open up a lot of your identity imbalances within yourself. These predictive processes, if somebody does this, then I have to do this, right? And that can really shift your reality really fast. But it takes practice and it takes consistency and it takes paying attention to how your body feels and reacts and what you're thinking when you receive something or when you give something. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and sign up for the Method Muse newsletter in the description below.